Yes.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike. Roll call, please, Sienna.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Losi,
Here.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Here.
Mayor Long.
Here. Thank you, Sienna. Just a couple of things. We have a lot of people on our screens in our meetings lately, and it can get distracting when people are moving around and getting up and down. So we are asking you, if you are not participating in the discussion, to mute your video. And then when your item comes up, please unmute your video and join us. Stay on the line so that you can still hear everything, but we just don't want to see all the videos and all the distractions. If suddenly your video disappears, it could be because it got too distracting and Sienna was able to mute your video. But please stay on and listen and participate and hit your video when you're ready to talk. So thank you all for helping us not be so distracted during our crazy Zoom times. We have some presentations and proclamations tonight. Our first one is our proclamation in recognition and support of National Mentoring Month, January 2021. Whereas January is National Mentoring Month and provides an opportunity to raise community awareness of the importance of mentoring and recognize the efforts of mentoring programs, the mentors and their mentees. And whereas Big Brothers Big Sisters of the North Coast celebrates 52 years of service to youth in Humboldt County who have needed and wanted mentors. And whereas the future of Fortuna rests on the success of its children and youth. And whereas a mentor is a caring, consistent presence who devotes time to a young person to help develop personal strength and achieve their potential through a structured and trusting relationship. And whereas quality mentoring encourages positive choices, promotes self-esteem, supports academic achievement, and introduces young people to new ideas. And whereas research shows that young people matched with a caring adult through a quality mentoring program are 55% more likely to be enrolled in college, 81% more likely to report participating regularly in extracurricular activities and sports, 78% more likely to volunteer, and twice as likely to say they held a leadership position than those who did not have a mentor. And whereas youth development experts agree that mentoring is critical to the social, emotional, and cognitive development of youth, helping them navigate the path to adulthood more successfully. And whereas our community has a number of individuals, teachers, community volunteers, and so many others who support the mentoring movement and work selflessly to improve our children's odds for success. And whereas we appreciate all the efforts of these past and present local heroes and say thank you for supporting children facing challenging circumstances. Now, therefore, I, Sue Long, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Fortuna, proclaim that January 2021 is National Mentoring Month in the city of Fortuna. And I encourage all citizens of Fortuna to promote the creation and expansion of quality mentoring programs to equip young people with the tools needed to lead healthy and productive lives, and for the residents of Fortuna to honor the role models in their lives by becoming mentors to youth in their community. Signed this 19th day of January 2021, City of Fortuna. Did Florence ever join us?
She is, I believe, coming on right now.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm here.
Hi, Florence. Thank you. So the proclamation
Hello. Thank you.
Would you like to say a couple words?
Well, I know our board member Michael is also here joining us, and he is a resident of Fortuna, and he'd like to say a couple things before I get started.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Michael Kine. I can't believe it's been a whole year since last time I was able to be at this proclamation. Seems like time has kind of stood still, but at the same time, it's flying by. But I am very grateful that we're able to do this proclamation. Big Brothers, Big Sisters of the North is I have to do a all-out big. We're still looking for bigs all the time. We have a lot of kids on the waiting list, especially in the Arrow River Valley, that could definitely use the support. We currently have 2 board members who live out here as well. The other one, Kellen, who lives here as well. So if if anybody ever would like to talk to me or Florence regarding being a big, or if anybody anybody has any children that would like to be a little, we would love to hear from you. And I just also want to give a shout out for our upcoming Bowl for Kids' Sake in March. It will be a mixture of virtual and on-site due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but we'll be operating out of Blue Lake, Harbor Lanes in Eureka, and also Bear River as well. So I hope everybody comes out and joins us.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. And thank you so much for the time that you put into to acknowledge and support mentoring throughout the year of 2020. It was a challenging year for all of us, but we did expand to the Fortuna area, and we were able to include another 5 bigs from Fortuna. So we're really honored that so many people believe in what we're doing and the importance of mentoring. And we are here looking for more mentors as we expand to the Elo Valley. So please, if you're interested at all, as Michael said, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We'll make sure that we drop our information in the chat, but also you can reach us online at ncbbbs.org. And we are really looking forward to getting not only Bowl for Kids' Sake, but we have the big Humboldt Jam that comes up this Saturday. Some great events to expand community and celebrate mentoring during National Mentoring Month.
All right, thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight, you guys.
Thank you
All
for
right.
having us.
You're welcome. Moving on to presentation from our Fortuna Fire Department Chief Lon Winburn.
Mayor Long, I'm sorry to interrupt before we move on. I've noticed that Joe Hardcastle has his hand raised. I don't know if that's intentional to make a comment at this point or if that is unintentional, Joe.
That's unintentional until it's time to discuss the Measure Committee.
Thank you.
Okay, Chief Lon. You're on mute, Lon.
How's that?
Better.
That's much better. All right. Well, thank you, Mayor and City Council, for giving us the opportunity to see everybody tonight. Haven't seen anybody for a while. So anyway, so a little bit of update on the fire department. We are in the process of looking for additional volunteer firefighters. Academy's coming up in March, and with any luck, we will start that academy in March. We did a 2-part academy last year. We got 5 weeks in, and then we had to postpone because of COVID, of course. And we were able to get that back up and running and finish it up in November, just before the holidays. It worked out okay. It was
I'm just listening in to the meeting.
I
I don't go live. No.
So anyway, so we're pushing out membership. We're also looking for, other than firefighters, we're looking for EMS folks. We're looking for support roles. We have support roles to fill. So I'm just kind of pushing this out to the public that we're always looking for folks. And also along with that, we're trying to revitalize our CERT team. A couple of you are familiar with our CERT, Community Emergency Response Team. So we haven't had a team leader on that for our Fortuna team in probably 3 years. So it's just kind of been sitting idle. I know there's still interest out there in the Fortuna area. There's also interest in the Ferndale area. So we now have a new team leader that just came on board. She'll be working with the Humboldt CERT Coalition and other CERT teams to kind of coordinate activities, trainings, that sort of thing. And we're really hoping to move this thing into an Eel River Valley effort. And I do foresee that happening soon. So anyway, we'll keep you informed on that as it goes along. So other than that, we're working through the vaccination process for our frontline first responders. Most of those folks have now started the second round of vaccinations. So it's kind of good to get that going and behind us. It takes a lot of anxiety and fear out of the job for those folks. So that's a real plus. Other than that, we got a couple of projects on the table, as you are aware of, I'm sure, one being the training facility behind the main station. things are rolling along pretty well. We're a little bit hung up on time with PG&E coordinating that part of the project. But with any luck, we will see a training tower on that property by the start of Academy. So that's our goal, and we're pushing for it. Hopefully that'll happen. The other project is out on Ronerville Road, as you probably know. That CEQA document and the whole process for the conditional use permit is under review now by city staff, and so we're hoping for a positive outcome on that here in the next month or so, and we can get the plan set finished and get her out to bid. So kind of excited to see that thing. So that's pretty much what I got. Definitely open it up for questions if there are any.
Make sure I'm on the list for any cert information. I just moved my backpack out of my way yesterday in my closet, and I went, gosh, it's been a long time since we did any of this. So yeah.
For sure. Definitely we'll keep you in the loop. And hopefully something will start happening here soon. Yes.
Anyone have any questions for Lon? All right, seeing none. Thank you, Lon, for your time, for being here. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Lon.
You bet, Mike.
Make sure you let all the volunteer fire department people know how much we appreciate you guys.
I will pass that on. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
All right. Our next presentation is by our Police Chief, Casey Day.
Good evening, Mayor and honorable council members. It's my pleasure to present the third and fourth quarter report to the council. And Sienna, can we get our PowerPoint up?
I'm ready when you are.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so just to clarify, this report will cover July 1st through December 31st of 2020, the third and fourth quarter. Part 1, crime statistics decreased during the third and fourth quarter as compared to the beginning of the calendar year. An overall analysis of Part 1 crimes has proven to show a relatively low frequency of occurrences in Fortuna. And in my opinion, I think that gives credence to the fact that Fortuna is a safe community. Next slide. Between July 1st and December 31st, 2020, the Fortuna Police Department responded to 47 calls for service, which were determined to be domestic violence related. 29 arrests were made and 21 criminal complaints were forwarded to the district attorney for review and arrest warrant issuance. Next slide. The third and fourth quarter enforcement statistics, which are on the slide there, before I get into this, next to each of the categories, you'll see statistics in white for 2020. And I have given comparative data for 2019, which is on both sides, third and fourth quarter in blue. So in comparing the third and fourth quarter enforcement statistics for 2020 against third and fourth quarter statistics from 2019, during the third quarter of 2020, all categorical areas increased from the previous year. During the fourth quarter of 2020, most categorical areas increased, and the Fortuna Police Department responded to a total of 21,619 calls for service during 2020. A total of 842 arrests were made and 1,053 citations were issued for the year. Next slide. Measure E continues to fund the department's detective position, problem-oriented policing position, and the part-time code enforcement officer position. In the past 6 months, detectives have investigated over 50 major crimes. These are cases ranging from sexual assault and narcotic violations to burglaries and suspected offenses against children. Detectives have also collaborated with our allied agencies and have responded to requests for assistance, ranging from officer-involved shooting investigations to compliance checks of registered sex offenders. In addition, detectives have also authored a significant number of search warrants and conducted follow-up to investigations requiring time and attention to detail, which has really been an outstanding supplement to the patrol division. Our problem-oriented policing detective spends a significant amount of time on quality of life issues facing our community. In addition to the quality of life concerns, our problem-oriented policing detective supplements patrol with proactive investigations concerning criminal activity and makes a dedicated attempt to deal with problematic antisocial behavior at the onset. The presence of our problem-oriented policing detective within the community contributes to the reduction of crime and the gathering of important intelligence, which is utilized by administrators for addressing strategic approaches to problem solving. The part-time code compliance officer has been truly impactful during the third and fourth quarter of 2020. Over 35 letters were issued to property owners where nuisances existed. In addition to these abatement letters, the code compliance officer was effective in follow-up investigations, which were required and needed for ongoing compliance issues throughout the city. Additionally, the code compliance officer has been instrumental in addressing ongoing nuisance properties throughout the city where inspection and abatement warrants were needed to clean up properties, and where long-term solutions were needed for remedying building code violations, fire safety issues, and other health and safety concerns. Most recently, the code compliance officer has been instrumental in assisting the city with COVID-related compliance matters, in manning the COVID compliance hotline and email after the transition from JIC. Next slide, Sienna. Measure Z has remained a vital funding source which supports the department's ability to provide a school resource officer and a drug task force agent. The position of school resource officer has been funded through this measure since 2017. The SRO provides services to 16 schools and over 3,700 students. During the third and fourth quarter, the SRO, or school resource officer, handled 424 calls for service and handled 52 criminal cases involving cases ranging from child abuse to drug possession and other delinquency issues. The SRO has been instrumental in safety protocols within our schools and collaborates with both school and department administrators. During the third and fourth quarter, the SRO was heavily involved in community outreach, completing a mural of the United States map at Walker Elementary and other painting and restorative projects, including the upgrading of interactive outdoor games and refurbishing things like basketball hoops at Hydesville Elementary School. The SRO also partnered with Project Kindness for Thanksgiving and assisted with other local fundraisers. The department's DTF, or Drug Task Force agent, is part of a progressive and effective drug enforcement team, which has efficiently targeted drug trafficking organizations throughout Humboldt County. Due to the clandestine nature of this assignment, particulars have intentionally been redacted. However, it's important that the council knows that the Drug Task Force continues to be successful in operations which target the illicit trafficking of controlled substance and the seizure of assets throughout our community. Next slide. The Fortuna Police Department is actively working towards filling open recruitments. Currently, we have a police officer in background, and we have been vacant one police officer position since October of 2020. We are currently testing and arranging interviews for a public safety dispatcher. We have had the dispatch vacancy since October of 2020. And most recently, working an in-house recruitment to replace the full-time community service officer, which had recently resigned and taken a position with the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office. Next slide. The police department continues to explore available grant funding. The ABC grant was obtained again to assist in alcohol-related enforcement. New, however, for the third and fourth quarter is the matching procurement grant received from the American Kennel Club for the purchase of the new police canine. The reestablishment of the canine program has generated significant community support, including anonymous donations, which could potentially grow and expand this program in the future. Currently, the canine or a canine, which has been preliminarily selected, is en route from Europe or overseas. And we are on schedule for the handler and the dog to be partnered and attend handler school in early spring, March timeframe. Next slide. Volunteer Enoch Ibarra devotes a significant amount of time to crime prevention programs throughout the Eel River Valley. During the third and fourth quarter, Enoch facilitated educational presentations, organized trainings, and maintained partnerships with allied agencies, including our federal partners. Enoch serves not only as a volunteer, but as an effective conduit to department administrators on matters involving intelligence briefings, crime trends, and prevention strategies. Next slide. We got two of those in there. Next slide. So I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge some of our outstanding department members that received department awards for calendar year 2020. This occurred in December, and one important aspect to take away from these department awards, for those that don't know, are that the majority of them are selected by their peers through an anonymous voting process. Employees get the opportunity to select candidates for this award and also submit to the chief observations throughout the year of good performance and outstanding commitment to the community and the city. This year, the Police Officer of the Year was given to Officer Silas Grigsby. The Employee of the Year was given to Administrative Assistant Kendra Bailey, and Dispatcher of the Year was given to Public Safety Dispatcher Jade Campbell. Next slide. I'll go back to the Chiefs Award and the VFW award. I kind of want to talk separately about those, but also as part of the voting by peers, the Volunteer of the Year, Enoch Ibarra, was selected for that award. So each were presented with a department plaque and were added to our internal plaque, which is displayed in records, that has the years and years of different award recipients listed. Something that I brought new to the department this year was the Chiefs Award. This is an award that particularly focuses on outstanding leadership. And this year, Sergeant Jason Cadle received that award. The Veterans of Foreign Wars Officer of the Year, Lindsey Frank, was selected and received the VFW award. And primarily, Officer Frank made such an impact in the community with her community engagement, involvement, her fundraising. It was really her non-enforcement aspect of serving the community that earned her the VFW award. Next slide. What you're seeing here are just some photographs that we collected in the third and fourth quarter. This was just some of the community engagement that the department was involved in. As you can see, Coffee with the Chief was something that was restored when I came over in July. We've been doing that once a month, every month, with the exception of December. Personnel were involved in blood drives, veterans events, 9/11, speaking in classrooms, and also our local fundraisers for the Think Pink campaign and the Pink Patch Project, and also No Shave November. I was very proud of the department for the October Think Pink campaign. The department raised over $1,800, which was given to California Cancer Crushers for the fight against breast cancer. And about $2,400 was raised for No Shave November. And those fundraising monies were gifted to a local community member and family that was facing and fighting cancer. Next slide. Additions to department training. This is separate from individual in-service training for the officers, but something that was applicable to the organization as a whole. Two main things for the third and fourth quarter. The first was a leadership study for command staff, extreme ownership. This was undertaken by the ranks of sergeant and above and facilitated by myself. Extreme ownership was a leadership study that went on over the course of several months, and the purpose was to essentially establish a culture of lifelong learners and to establish accountability from the chief down. Also focusing on communication aspects and with an emphasis on how tough conversations within the organization can bring an agency from good to great. The second training was a quarterly training that we did in November, where it was department-wide for ICS, or Incident Command. This was a training that we put on with the assistance of the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office. And essentially what we did was scenario-based training for major critical incidents. It was important for department members to be able to rehearse these type of incidents and exercise muscle memory when managing and communicating and obtaining the resources needed to effectively manage critical incidents. So we involved public safety dispatchers and sworn officers in this exercise. We were granted the use of the Fortuna High School for this exercise and spent about 4 hours rehearsing different scenarios. As a result, the Fortuna Police Department will, again, just maintain a culture of lifelong learners and continue to work on progressive ways in which to manage critical incidents. Next slide. So in conclusion, just the direction of the Fortuna Police Department, what you're looking at here was a set of leadership team values, kind of defining what we believe as a management team or a leadership team for the police department and how we will behave. You'll see signatures from sergeants and above at the bottom, and this is a living shelf document. It's something that every calendar year we actually have the leadership team re-autograph it or re-sign it. And our values are clearly stated: integrity, professionalism, accountability, communication, and embrace diversity. So our vision going forward is that we are, again, able to utilize this as a living shelf document as a guide for how this agency will serve the community and how we will behave and what we will base our principled policing on. That concludes my third and fourth quarterly report to the council, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief Day. Anyone have any questions, comments for the chief?
Madam Mayor, I do have a comment and question.
Go ahead.
Chief, excellent presentation. You are just spot on with your professionalism and what you brought to the community and what you brought to the police department. I would like to congratulate your employees who received the annual department awards. Their dedication to their duty makes Fortuna the great community that it is. And we really appreciate their effort out there. The question I have is, with the latest recruitment for officers, how many applicants actually did the city receive?
Yes, first off, thank you, Councilman Losi, for the comments. I really appreciate that. I know the department does as well. And to answer your question, we put out a special recruitment for academy graduates, which should give some scope to the answer of your question.
Okay.
And we received 6 candidates, all 6 interviewed.
Were they all from the local academy here?
No, they weren't. We had a couple of candidates that were as far away as Reading and one that had recently graduated the academy at College of the Siskiyous up in the Wairika area.
Okay, thank you.
Sir.
Tammy, you look like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to thank you, Chief. That was an excellent presentation. Councilman Losey said a lot of the things that I was just going to say. So we're thinking alike there. We do have a very good police department and very good employees, and I'm very proud of that. And you're doing an excellent job mentoring them and keeping our police department one of the best to work for. So I just wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you, Councilmember Trent.
Anyone else?
I would just like to reiterate what's been said, say that that is part and parcel what makes Fortuna the community that it is. And having spent some time with Chief Day, I know his heart and dedication, and I thank him for his efforts, and he's brought a unified department forward, and I think we're headed in the right direction, and I thank him for that.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson.
I could just echo all the previous comments, and thank you, Casey, for your presentation tonight. And I look forward to joining you for coffee with the chief this week. So we need to talk about that.
My pleasure. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Moving on to a presentation from our Measure E Committee Chair, Walt Wilson.
I don't seem to be appearing.
You're not appearing, but we could hear that. Sienna, can you tell Walt again how he got his video working earlier?
Down in the bottom left-hand corner, you should see a microphone emblem, and then there is also a little video camera. And you should be able to click on that video camera, and that will enable your camera.
I've clicked on that video camera twice. Let's try it again.
I can see the screen changing, but is there something over your camera maybe? Do you have a piece of paper or something over the camera at the top of your computer?
There we
There
go.
you go.
It helps to flip things the right direction. Okay. Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, staff, and community members. My name is Walt Wilson, Chair of the Measure E Oversight Committee. Accompanying me this evening is Joe Hardcastle, Vice Chair of the committee. Joe co-authored today's presentation and will be available for questions at the conclusion of our presentation. Thank you for allowing us to present our annual report covering Measure E revenues and expenditures for fiscal year 2019-2020 for your consideration. The Oversight Committee strives to adhere to the duties and responsibilities set forth in the Council Resolution establishing the Oversight Committee and to use the funds as transparently and efficiently as possible. The city is committed to using Measure E general tax dollars in a transparent manner to protect and maintain essential city services, including increasing and restoring police officers and programs, repairing aging, deteriorating streets and storm drains, parks maintenance and expansion, programs for youth and seniors, city buildings maintenance, and illegal camp cleanup, all as promised to the citizens of Fortuna. These promises are being kept. Your council agenda packet should contain the comprehensive 9-page report titled Annual Report to the City Council. This report details projects completed and associated Measure E expenditures for public works, parks and recreation, and public safety. The Oversight Committee receives comprehensive briefings on all these projects during our meeting on December 15, 2020, from Finance Director Aaron Filmley City Manager Merritt Perry, Deputy Director of Public Works Kevin Carter, General Services Superintendent Bob Knapp, Parks and Recreation Director Cameron Mull, Deputy City Engineer Brendan Bird, and Police Chief Casey Day. All questions posed by committee members were satisfactorily answered. Public comments were solicited, but none were received. Please refer to this report for project and cost details. During fiscal year 2019-2020, the City of Fortuna received $1,623,944 net of administration costs of $10,020 from the city's transaction and use tax. This represents receipts received for the period of July 2019 through June 2020. These revenues represent approximately 20% of the city's total general fund revenue and are somewhat higher than originally budgeted. Expenditures, as outlined in the 9-page report, include $90,520 or 5% to cover the general fund deficit and City Hall administration, $197,468 or 12% for Parks and Recreation, $619,205 or 37% for Police, and $786,453 or 46% for Public Works. Thanks to revenues in excess of expenditures totaling $169,582, largely attributed to actual revenue receipts coming in higher than originally budgeted, and savings on certain projects, the sum of $169,582 was transferred to reserve and will be available for future expenditures. The Oversight Committee is satisfied that all Measure E funds are being utilized in accordance with the spirit and intent of the ballot measure, and we commend city staff for their hard work on behalf of community members. This will conclude our presentation, and I will now turn the meeting back to the council. Joe and I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Walt, and thank you, Joe, for your participation in preparing that report. Did I miss something? Because I don't have anything in my council packet for Measure E. Were we supposed to have a report in our packet?
Yes.
Okay, maybe they can email it to us separately because I don't have it. Did anyone else see it?
I didn't get one.
Okay, so Sienna, could you email that to all of us tomorrow, and we'll read that. And,
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for either Walt or Joe? Jeremy.
Walt, forgive me if you just announced this. Tomorrow is the public input meeting that citizens have an opportunity to connect with you and give ideas for future expenditures for the following fiscal year. Is that correct?
That is correct.
5:30 Zoom meeting?
5:30 Zoom meeting. That is correct.
How would a citizen make sure and get an invitation to that?
I think I will defer that to Fiona.
Yep. So the agenda has been posted on the city's website at friendlyfortuna.com, and the Zoom information is available at the top of the agenda. So if a member of the public wanted to participate, they could use that meeting password and ID to log into that meeting at 5:30.
Thank you.
And Mayor Long, if I could just add a couple of more comments on that. We also sent a flyer around in all of the city water bills. So a majority of the citizens, almost everyone who has water, should have gotten a notice. And I did notice one error in the packet, that it didn't explicitly say under the business item public comment. But what we will be looking for in that meeting is public input on spending ideas. And I will say that we did receive a number of comments in response to the flyer that we put out in the water bill. So we're thrilled to have that public input on the spending priorities and some project ideas. So we're looking forward to presenting that at the meeting tomorrow.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments for Walt or Joe?
I would just thank them for being the face of the oversight committee and taking the time to solicit and listen and apply the public input. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Anyone else? All right, thank you for that presentation. Good luck tomorrow night. I know you guys will do just fine, and I appreciate your service to the city.
Thank you, Mayor Long.
Moving on to oral comments from the public. Sienna, if you will put up our contact information on the screen. While we were waiting to see if anyone calls, we can talk about our consent calendar. Does anyone wish to pull anything? You'll have to speak up because I can't see all of you right now. Hearing none. Does anyone
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to pull item number 7, if I could, please.
Okay. Anyone else?
I also wanted to pull item number 7.
Okay. Anything else?
I also wanted to make a comment on item 7 and make a comment with item 5.
Anything else? All right, Mike Johnson, why don't you make your comments on item 5?
I just wanted to make the comment on over the Christmas holidays, before the decorations went up, the parks crew went through and really spruced up the medians and made things look great. And as soon as the things came down, they were out there cleaning up and mowing and weed eating and tidying things up. And during the time when the grass got that growth spurt during the sunny couple of weeks we had, they were out in the parks tidying things up. And it's just remarkable when you get out in the morning and you go through the park with the sun shining and the way it hits, it's just really sets things off. And I just wanted to thank those guys for all the work they do.
I'm actually surprised Lon didn't mention the fire department putting those cutouts up and taking them down. So the community is very thankful for their time in doing that. Why don't you move on to item 7 while you're talking? What did you have on that one?
Well, recently, you might have noticed that there was a paving project on Newburgh. But I wanted to just mention that they really did a great job on that. They did in 2 days what has taken a week before to do. There was one mishap where don't know for sure, but I'm reasonably sure that it was a direct tap with a cork in the AC water pipe. And when the roller went over with the vibrator on it, broke it off. So they had a bit of a water leak there, but the project went well. Traffic control went well. Living on there and having to get in and out, I didn't hardly notice that it wasn't that big of an impact. So I just wanted to say that thank them for the good paving job that the contractor did and for all the work that city staff did, because that is a big headache when you have a project like that. So that's what I had. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad it's over. That paver roller, man, it just shook the whole building. I don't know what you felt at your house, but we were vibrating most of the day. Anyway, Tammy, item 7.
Okay, I just wanted to ask for a little update on the PG&E 12th Street Utility Underground project. We get a lot of questions on that. So I kind of wanted it to be presented to the whole community.
Yeah, Mayor Long, we have Kevin Carter on the line, and Kevin has been our project manager on the Rural 20A, or at least the city's representative on the Rural 20A project. So I'm going to ask Kevin if he can give you a brief update. And if he is still out there, then he can do that. And if not, I can do my best. Looks like Kevin's going to joining.
Absolutely. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. This has been a long, ongoing project for sure, and PG&E has completed their portion of the project, as most of you are aware, and they've topped the poles, so everybody's on everybody along 12th Street corridor gets their electricity underground now. AT&T has applied for an encroachment permit, and they have been actively going out every now and then doing some reconnaissance, figuring out their plan of attack to get all of their facilities underground. And there'll be a certain amount of poles that will be removed once AT&T is done. I've tried to reach out to Suddenlink multiple times recently with no luck. I will continue to do so. And but I understand that they have been out there doing some work, opening up some boxes, and they're probably still just finishing up their design. The schedule realistically won't be till the project won't be completed till late summer, early fall, maybe even into a little bit of winter before we have the concrete repaired after they remove all the poles. And I hope that answers any questions or provides a little bit more information. It's a little difficult with these projects just because, PG&E has the Rule 28 dollars, AT&T and Suddenlink do not. So they're a little bit, they come in after the fact, and it's been challenging to schedule and to try to stay out in front of and to track with them. So just that concludes my report. If there's any more questions.
Thank you, Kevin.
Mayor Pro Tem, just one point of clarification to add on to what Kevin said is when the undergrounding project was done, they did install the conduits for the different communication carriers as well. So those are in. It's just a matter of them scheduling the work, and we've tried, but we can't compel them to complete the work. So it's a new process. It's one that the city sees once every few decades, probably. We don't see these types of projects very often because it takes a long time to save the funds. So we're doing our best to continue to put pressure on them to come back, and Kevin's been doing a great job at that. A lot of reminders and inquiries as to the status.
Thanks, Mayor.
Mike Losey.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 7 is the Public Works Report. And on page 6, it speaks of staff responding to an overflow incident at the Stewart Street water tank. And it resulted in some minor damage, apparently. I was just wondering if somebody could address how many gallons actually were involved in the overflow, how it occurred, and steps to correct any future issues.
And Mayor Long, Kevin Carter, our Deputy Director of Public Works, is on, as well as Chris Christensen. So I would ask that Kevin takes the opportunity to respond to that and ask Chris if there's other clarifications desired.
So this incident occurred, and what happened was we were doing regular Coley tests down at our water wells, and an operator turned one of the pumps on, what's called on hand, which is basically just manual. It's not using the telemetry we call SCADA. And the operator left the pump on, and then it overflowed into the overflow pipe. And the estimate that I would give it's a 1,500 gallons per minute pump. And it was probably on for about a half an hour. We were kind of just running around trying to collect the water and to try to clean up. When I got on scene, it was, all of our crews were doing a really good job at cleaning up already, and the water was still running. There was a lot of material that was removed from what's an old Barney Street, and it ended up on P and is it 11th there? So it also went underneath a couple of houses. We were able to clean up. Very minimal amount of water actually entered into the garage of one of the houses, and we were able to clean that up right away and we started, drying out underneath the houses. We did an inspection underneath. The water didn't actually do any damage to any of the foundations. So that was a really wonderful outcome there. And then Bob Nat with the streets crew worked with his crew to repair some of Barney Street, and there's a driveway that goes to one house. Now, to say in the future, one of the other things that we found is the water should have never gone into the overflow without telemetry telling us. So there was an error in the actual levels that the telemetry was set at. And so one kind of good news, if you want to kind of look at it this way, is we were able to verify, reset those levels in Stewart Tank. And then we took the opportunity to take a look at every single one of our tanks in the city, make sure that this doesn't happen elsewhere. And we're also going to expand even further into some of our other facilities and being, more on top of testing, on doing real field tests instead of going with theory. And so I was really kind of happy to see our operators brainstorming, trying to come up with some new ideas, taking it very seriously. And hopefully this doesn't ever happen again.
Okay, so what you're speaking of with the overflow, then that would act as an automatic shutoff, or would there be a possibility of installing something that would act as an automatic shutoff should it run, say, over a 5-minute period?
So when a pump is put in manual or in hand, you're overriding all the automatic portion of it. The telemetry, though, being set at the proper height, will then alert the operators a foot before it goes over the overflow. So that gives us a foot of pumping, and it's a 2 million gallon tank, so it can hold a lot of water, and that gives us the adequate time to get that pump turned off before it happens again. And so, yeah.
So even if the operator wasn't on scene, the telemetry would alert somebody by phone, cell phone, or signal of some type?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a computer down at the treatment plant, as well as if it's after hours, it'll automatically alert the operator on call.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, I understand Diana has a question. Diana, are you there? Did she give up on us?
Looks like your hand's raised. Diana, are you there? Maybe she doesn't have anything she wants to contribute. It could be an error.
Okay, with that, can someone make a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Also move.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar items, which I forgot to read. There are 10 items: city council minutes, administrative department report, community development, finance, parks and rec, police, public works, river lodge, report of disbursements, and a notice of a class action settlement for credit card processing fees, request to participate in settlement. Those are our 10 items tonight. We have a motion and a second. Sienna, roll call, please.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Losi,
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. And did we hear it from anyone from the public? We didn't get any phone calls. Diana, is you're wanting to say something, or either that or put your hand down? Jump in if you have something to say and we're missing you. All right, moving on to city council business. Item A is the memorandum of understanding between the city of Fortuna and Rotor Community Recreation Park District for the State Park Program Grant. We have Cameron Moll from Parks and Rec to present the staff report.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and City Council. Presenting tonight approval of a potential MOU between the city and the Roner Community Recreation District. So the Roner Community Recreation and Park District is a special district whose boundaries are larger than the city of Fortuna, about 5,700 parcels. And they are going to be applying for a Proposition 68 grant, a competitive grant. It's called the Statewide Park Program, otherwise known as the SPP grant. This is the same grant that the city had applied for in the previous round for the Newburgh Park rehab and expansion, which we will also be reapplying. But the Roner Rec District is submitting their own separate grant for the construction of an aquatic facility. And so the Roner Rec District doesn't have an extensive or long history in completing significant projects over the years. And a component of the grant application is because it's on a points-based or score-based, a component of that application is for that entity to demonstrate or prove their history in completing significant projects of this size. And this project will be the maximum grant amount of $8.5 million. And so the Roner Rec District is looking to the city during this grant application process. They have hired LACO and Associates as consultants to help with the grant administration. And so they're looking to establish an MOU with the city so that they can essentially utilize the city's extensive experience in completing large and significant projects for their scoring criteria for their grant. So basically the city further assisting the Roner Rec District with that endeavor to construct an aquatic facility in the city of Fortuna. And so again, the SPP grant, we are in the final round. There's $395 million available total. So the grant application is due on March 12th. So we've got a couple months to wrap things up before both the city and the Roner Rec District submit their grants. And the city has already provided a lot of staff time and assistance to the Roner Rec District throughout this process. So the Roner Rec District, just to kind of inform the public and other council members, was reformed in 2018 after being kind of sitting idle or on a hiatus for multiple years. And so when they did reform, we've assisted them with that mission. And again, their main mission is to construct an aquatic facility in the city limits. And so up to this point, we've helped the Roner Rec District secure a 30-year lease, a land agreement with the McLean Foundation to construct the pool if and when it's built on the McLean campus. We've assisted with their feasibility study, which was performed by the consultants Councilman Hunsicker. Some public members might remember some of that public outreach we did for the construction of the pool. And through that feasibility study, there will be a couple. There were a couple conceptual designs based on the public feedback that was given during that process. And then we also assisted them with the annexation and revenue generation analysis, which was just completed not too long ago by LACO and Associates. On top of, being the administrator of their funds and managing some of their funding. So the city has provided up to this point a fair amount of assistance in this regard. And so this would just further solidify during this grant application, the city's ability to assist them with this process to construct the pool. Of course, this does answer or pick up a lot of questions that the public and the council might have as, okay, once the pool if the pool is constructed, how are we going to maintain it? And so those are discussions that Merritt and I feel would need to happen soon, especially if the Roner Rec District is awarded the grant. And those grant awards will be announced in late summer 2021. So late summer this year, we will know if either the pool or the Newburgh Park expansion projects are able to be funded. And so, conversations should be started at some point as far as, if the pool is constructed, how it will be managed, who will be managing it, and what role does the Roner Rec District and the city play in that. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but again, this is just a component of that grant application to help them solidify their experience through that application process and helping them submit a stronger grant application, if you will, for the statewide park program grant. Merritt, did you have anything you wanted to add, or I'm happy to answer any questions at this time?
No, I think that you got it, Cameron. Really, just because the rec district really is a kind of a fledgling entity, they haven't implemented any projects. We just want to make sure that we provide the experience and assistance necessary. And again, it wouldn't be city staff time other than managing, bringing on a consultant. So we don't expect it to be a huge effort. Really, where a lot of the effort is going to go is if the district is successful. Working and assisting the district to move forward with an assessment benefit to determine whether or not the citizens within the district actually want to pay for this pool, and that's going to be the big question. So, say for example, if it is awarded, what are the next steps? Does the district expand through annexation, and then what is the fee that they levy? And so that's the part that has me more worried is if they are successful, how fast can we move to expand the district and put the funding to a vote that's necessary to provide the long-term and ongoing maintenance. So I think, I'm really happy that we're getting to this point for a decision for the district. It was the original goal back in the 80s when the rec district was created. And, we're excited to be close to the point where we'll be able to tell whether the public supports having a pool and wants to pay for its maintenance. So from a staff perspective, we see that as our mission to get to that decision point, for the community. Do they want a pool? Do they want to pay for it? And if we can grab this $8.5 million grant for the construction to reduce the cost, that's just kind of a bonus. So that's all I have to add.
All right, we'll open it up to the public. Sienna, if you could put our information on the screen. While she's doing that, does anyone from the council have any questions or comments?
Madam Mayor, I do have a couple comments.
Okay.
First is just kind of housekeeping on the actual memorandum of understanding. The very first paragraph, which starts out this memorandum of understanding, MOU documents, that sentence, and or that paragraph, it goes down to talk about construction of a new aquatic facility on the Gene Lucas Center campus. And they really should be Mel McLean or at least the McLean campus as opposed to the Lucas Center.
Thanks, Mike. I did note that. I'm trying to look in what bullet point you're seeing that. I do see in the preambles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's above the preambles.
Okay.
Just that very first paragraph.
Okay.
First paragraph.
Yep. You're right. It should read McLean. It should be the McLean campus. So I'll have that corrected. Thank you.
Okay. And then the other comment was just more of an iteration of what Merritt was talking about as far as are we putting the cart before the horse, or is this the park district looking at other annexing into other communities ongoing at the same time as the district is going to be applying for this grant money?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mike. And a lot of people would probably ask that. So basically, it was a good opportunity with a significant amount of funds that arose that the district was able to apply for. So it being the final round, I do feel it was important to jump on it and see if it was something that is doable. However, you're correct. There hasn't been a lot of movement as far as, we've done the annexation revenue generation analysis, which, as Merritt mentioned, the bulk of that was, moving towards a benefit assessment and potentially expanding the district's boundaries to maybe even include the Fortuna Union High School district boundaries, so that you can include more parcels into that. And then people in the long run then are paying a little bit less to operate and maintain that pool. For example, if we could include the Fortuna Union High School district boundary, if it was just the current boundaries, each parcel owner would pay about $93 a year for that $8.5 million pool's operation and maintenance costs, annual operation and maintenance costs. Whereas if we could include the Fortuna Union High School district, I believe it goes down to something in the 50 range, $53. So it's quite a significant difference. So I think that is a risk that the district is willing to kind of take and not let this opportunity pass up. And then with the hopes that the work that's been put in thus far in gaining community support to build this pool is there and it's strong. And if they get the grant, they move forward as soon as possible upon that award in annexing or doing what they can to get the public's approval to help pay for the pool, because as we know, pools are not inexpensive to operate and maintain. So we're looking at probably around a $400,000 a year range for the operation and maintenance of a pool. So it will take the public's input and support if the pool is going to be constructed. And if we don't get the public support in that regard, then the pool just won't be constructed.
Right.
We don't want to get into a situation where we have a very expensive pool to maintain and no revenue generation or no source of revenue to support it. So that's the plan, is to see if we can get awarded the grant and then, just gangbusters to try to get a benefit assessment or something passed, or an annexation passed, so that we can pay for that operation and maintenance once it is constructed.
It would be a disaster to have that aquatic center built and 5 years later have it sit there and then nobody being able to afford to operate and maintain it. I know the city wouldn't be able to, and I think the McLean Foundation has made it pretty clear that they're not able to do that either.
Correct.
So, Councilmember, we're aware of that, and so what we'd want to do is, if we were notified that we were awarded the grant, I think there's a period of 4 years for performance, so we'd have a very short timeline to go ahead. And again, reaching out to the surrounding communities to see what their input is would take a lot of time, and then proceeding with the steps through LAFCO for an annexation. There's a lot to do, and it's going to take at least a year. And so I think the key is going to be negotiating that project timeline and scope of work with state parks folks. But there's absolutely no way we proceed in accepting that grant and building a pool without a revenue stream. So we could talk more about that. We're going to be bringing this back to the council on the second week of February to provide more details and share the results of the annexation and revenue generation, and we'll review the feasibility and some of the other items that we've completed so far. So tonight we were hoping just to take care of the MOU, have that approved by council, which was really just kind of representing the city's willingness to provide that assistance. But again, we're going to have a lot many more conversations, hopefully, about this with the next comprehensive kind of update and council discussion, the second meeting of February.
Well, I'm really excited about this, that there's some movement toward this. We've been talking about a swimming pool for 20, 30 years in Fortuna. And finally, there seems to be some movement in the right direction. And so I'm really happy to see that, and I would encourage both entities to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we feel like, it's been a success just getting to this point, but, we have a lot of work to do with just getting the organization together, getting the documents in place so we can actually put a number in front of the voters so that the community, so they can decide if they want to pay for and fund that. And again, extensive outreach. There's going to be a lot of work to do to see who wants to be included and what their feeling is on that.
Well, and in the last, year and a half, there's been several public meetings with the Roner Park District, whatever that full name is, people commenting and doing the research and all of the things. So there's been a lot of community participation so far over the last about year and a half. So we definitely have a handle on, the process, as far as don't build a pool till you have a process in place to manage and maintain. So we've already kind of gone down that road, and I think everybody understands where we are. And so this is, if we could get that grant, that would just be amazing. Like little tiny Fortuna on the map for getting a huge grant like that. So we've been successful in public works. Now, if we could just be successful in parks, we would really be able to make a difference in our city. So any other questions or comments? Diana, did you want to comment on this, or did you just have another comment on something else?
I just wanted to give a public comment during the public comment period, and I'm sorry, I'm at a Santa Sleigh meeting, so I wasn't able to connect appropriately. So if it's okay, if I could jump in at some point.
Yeah, you want to just hold on while we make this motion and get that passed, and then I'll come back to you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. All right. If we don't have any more comments or questions, someone like to make a motion?
I'd make a motion, we authorize the city manager or his designee to enter into an MOU with the Roner Community Recreation and Park District.
Second.
There we go. All right, we have a motion and a second. Sienna?
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Losi,
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. All right, we're going to go to a member of our public, Diana Rios, and thank you for being patient as we try to navigate our Zoom meetings. So you're up.
Yeah, no, I think it was my fault. So I appreciate you guys accommodating my public comment. First, I'm sitting here with Lon Winburn, and he wanted me to say thank you to everyone that donated to the Fortuna Fire Santa Sleigh program. And so he just forgot to mention that earlier. And then thank you again for the wood cutouts, for the community support on the wood cutouts, and that if anybody knows where those missing wood cutouts are, he would love them back. So I just wanted to go ahead and share that for him. On behalf of the Fortuna Business Improvement District, for those who may not know, I'm the executive director of that. We were able to process about 25 local business applications through the state of California Relief Program for our local businesses. So we were able to process about $370,000 of relief, hopefully, that will get processed, and we'll know, I think, tomorrow or the next day if those grants were approved. And then businesses will be funded within 25 days. We did prioritize restaurant owners, salons, and minority business owners. There will be a second grant round coming open in the beginning of February, and we plan on it helping as many businesses as possible. And if local business owners are unable to access that information, they can reach out to the Fortuna Business Improvement District at our FBIT office, and we will help businesses get their grant applications together. We'll scan all their documents and we'll help them upload them, so that way we can help more businesses during the next grant round from the state of California. So those were just a couple of things that we've been doing, something tangible, and I wanted to let the council know that we are actively working to support our business community. And then also with this, the county of Humboldt also opened up their grant round. It closed December, I believe it was the 4th. And it's our understanding 35 businesses in Humboldt, in the Eel River Valley, Fortuna, were able to receive grants. They're giving me those dollar amounts so that way the council can know how many businesses were served through the county. That they were able to grant 690 something businesses $3.2 million. So that was a nice way to support our local businesses. So I just wanted to let the council know that we're actively working on supporting our local businesses through these grant rounds. And if you know a business that's interested in our support, we are here to support them. So thank you so much for all you guys do for our community, and we're here to serve our businesses. So that's it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Diana. I actually saw you working hard that one day with the local business, so thank you for being willing to do that. All right, moving on to our next item of business is approve a supplemental budget request for $5,000 in Measure E funds from fiscal year 1920 to fiscal year 2021 for the completion of the proposed emergency operations plan.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Chief Day. In front of the council is a request to approve supplemental budget request in the amount of $5,000 for previously budgeted Measure E funds. These were designated for essential programs, to wit, the city's emergency operations plan, or EOP. As stated, during fiscal year 1920, funds for Measure E were budgeted for the completion of an updated emergency operations plan for the city, and specifically $5,000 was previously budgeted for the project. The project was essentially delayed due to wildfires. The consultant for this project is Chief Frederick Flores. The scope of Mr. Flores' duties extends far beyond consulting services and required his response to wildfires both locally and abroad. So due to primarily those wildfire responsibility, the project was delayed. The city and the consultant are now ready to move forward on the project in order to complete the EOP. The need for the previously budgeted Measure E funds totaling $5,000 from fiscal year 1920 will cover the costs associated with this project. So staff is recommending council approve the supplemental budget request in the amount of $5,000 for the previously budgeted Measure E funds for essential programs. And I can answer any questions that the council may have.
All right, thank you. Let's open public comment. And while Sienna's putting that up on the screen, do any council members have any questions or comments?
I would just make a comment for any members of the public or our viewers at home or that watch this on YouTube or access Humboldt later, that we've had a few of these supplemental budget requests come through lately, and these are a lot of them. All these have been previously budgeted. We're not having to draw on reserves. They're money that had been previously budgeted, and for various reasons, projects couldn't have been completed for COVID or weather or wildfires, as in this case. And we are just bringing forward previously budgeted money into the current fiscal year to complete the projects that had to be delayed. And we are acting fiscally responsible and not drawing down our reserves and using the money that was actually budgeted for this project. And that's just what I wanted to say, because we've had a few of these come up lately, and undoubtedly it won't be the last one. And we want to be good stewards of our citizens' money. Thanks.
Thanks for that clarification, Mike. Anyone else have any comments, questions? No one from the public, Sienna? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a supplemental budget request of $5,000 of Measure E funds for completion of the EOP/EOC project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Sienna?
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Losi,
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to item C, confirm nuisance abatement costs for real property located at 1319 Ronerville Road, assessor parcel number 202-261-004-000. Merritt?
Thank you, Mayor Long. I'll be presenting this staff report along with Wayne Hanson, our code compliance officer, and we still have Ryan Plotz, our city attorney, online, and he's also been instrumental, can help answer questions if you have them. Staff's recommendation is that the council confirm the nuisance abatement cost for the subject parcel in the amount of $13,722.58. On February 6th, 2019, the city initiated abatement efforts on the subject parcel in response to ongoing municipal code violations related to occupied recreational vehicles and the condition of the property. The owner of the property was requested to voluntarily abate the property nuisances and did not comply with the request. Formal nuisance abatement proceedings were brought against the property nuisance at an abatement hearing on August 28, 2019. A notice to abate was served to the property owner on November 20th, 2019. The property owner's appeal of the abatement order was heard by the city council on February 3rd, 2020, and the appeal was denied. An inspection and abatement warrant was served on the property on September 8th, 2020. Numerous violations of the municipal code remained unabated, and those are listed in the staff report. The property owner was then notified that the city would begin abatement efforts and the property owner would be responsible for the expenses incurred. The property owner agreed to voluntarily abate the violations by depositing trash and debris into refuse containers provided by the city. However, the property owner did not complete the cleanup necessary to abate the identified nuisances. The city rented additional debris boxes and disposed of trash and debris in order to complete the abatement of the nuisance that was not completed by the property owner. The total financial cost of the city of Fortuna for the property nuisance abatement was $18,172.38. The cost of this abatement will be funded from the nuisance abatement revolving fund, Fund 240. Any funds recovered as a part of the assessment would offset the costs incurred. It may take several years to recover these funds, and the amount is uncertain. And there's a table of breakdown and costs that's included with the report. So I think I may have said initially, and it's listed at the top, that the amount is $18,172.38. So with that, I'll hand it over to Wayne. Wayne will provide a little bit more detail, and he'll show you some pictures of the abatement activities in a PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you, Merritt. Hopefully it starts up here. Everybody see the PowerPoint should popped up hopefully on the screen. Pardon me?
Not yet.
Sienna, do we need to put that up for Wayne, or would you like me to put that up for share? I don't know if you have that.
Wayne has it.
Okay.
Did it go
Thank
up?
you. Yep.
There we go. Yep.
Pardon me?
Credit. Just enlarge it, Wayne.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. As Merritt spoke earlier, this project started in February 2019 for a property located at 1319 Runnable Road in the city of Fortuna. This has been an issue for a decade, but we took this task on starting in February 2019. And I assume council's got the breakdown of the expenses on the spreadsheet here I just put up. Basically, you can see that the Mitchell, Brioso, and Delaney, that's our legal firm. Ryan Plotz represents that firm. During this process, I had to, with our attorney, Ryan Plotz, write a total of, I believe, 4 abatement warrants. We had to get it amended. The original abatement warrant wasn't done in the completion time. Generally, it's 2 weeks to 4 weeks, whatever you ask the judge, because of the magnitude of the cleanup. Kept on going. As Merritt said, the landowner agreed at first. CWS was involved. They paid for one 40-yard dumpster. The county did. They didn't want to get involved anymore, so the city stepped in and ordered 5 total, one at a time. Took approximately a week for the landowner with some of his friends filled the dumpster, so city staff didn't have to deal with the magnitude. So 5 weeks in a row, every week a 40-yard dumpster, and you see those fees broken down by recology. Each dumpster is approximately $1,300 for the trash and debris that was on the property. And then the bottom of that, you can see the staff, Public Works at the very end got involved in the cleanup. As Merritt spoke earlier, the total cost over $18,000. The last cost is towards the end of the project. We had to remove a tree house and a 5th wheel trailer that was being used to live in and store garbage. The tree house, against municipal codes, against building codes, against electrical codes, was demolished. Ecology, Eel River Salvage had the equipment, the excavator that was needed. And they also put the trash into 2 separate 40-yard dumpsters and a 30-yard dumpster. So a total of 8 40-yard dumpsters and 1 30-yard dumpster left the property of trash and debris. This is what the property looked like originally, with that metal sign with showing the address to the right. You see the tree house had been there for years. People were living in it, transients. In fact, we had to kick transients out of it a couple times during our project before it was demolished. This is just some overview photos that showed the magnitude of the debris, again, that filled a total of 8 40-yard dumpsters, which is a large amount of trash and debris. 10 years worth. This gentleman was on the Hoarders Show 2011, and I think you're all aware the property was cleaned by hoarders in 2011, and he just let it get to this magnitude in the next 8 to 9 years. This is a picture of the treehouse showing the excavator to the left that was used. There's a picture of that's actually a 30-yard dumpster, not the 40-yard dumpster. That's a picture of a little bit of debris going to the dumpster. This is what's left, a part of the 5th wheel motorhome that was on the property. And that's what the property currently looks like now, as you saw the pictures before. If you go around that turn and go up the hill, there's still another trailer and where the subject lives in, and we're still in the an issue with an abatement process is ongoing on the property. Any questions?
So we're still attempting to get them to hook up to water, sewer, power, and all of the things?
What's happened because of COVID, the property owner paid his fees 6 to 8 months ago. He was in the rears several years, and he paid, I believe, $700 to $800 to the city for the water. But since COVID, in the last 6 months, he has not paid his fees again for the water. And because of COVID, I think he's aware of it. He's not paying it because of COVID. He's still getting water service. He's living on the property against a red tag order. He still doesn't have PG&E. We're currently working with our city attorney to have him removed from the property and for unsafe to occupy underneath the red tag because of an electrical problem. He has no PG&E, and basically what he does is move a generator around on the property, a gas-powered generator, hooks it up to different wires, obviously aren't up to code and very unsafe.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Madam Mayor, I do have a question.
Okay.
Hey, Wayne, there was at some point water diversion from private property located above this parcel. Has that been mitigated? Has that been taken care of or anything?
Yes, that was mitigated several months ago. The abatement warrant went for a total of 81 days. We kept on having it extended because of the magnitude of the cleanup. And the abatement warrant ended sometime in December, but it was good for 81 days. But the theft of the water from the property owner above it, which was on a gravity fed, going to his toilet so he could flush into the city sewer system, has been mitigated. I can't speak of it currently because I haven't been up there in about 45 days.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? We'll open public comment. Does anyone from the public want to comment on this? Call quick. And if you do try to call in to make a public comment on something and we miss you, we will come back to you. So we'll close public comment and entertain a motion.
Can I make one more comment?
Sure.
I just have another question for Wayne. Will this property be checked occasionally to make sure that it doesn't get to the point that it was at now? Like we're not going to wait 7 years or so before we do this again.
Correct. That's the reason I'm working with the city attorney to remove the gentleman that lives up there, or anybody that lives up there, with a court order until he fixed the electrical problem. And then once we're up there dealing with that, I might have to start another abatement process for any garbage he's accumulating, but it's not going to fall through the cracks.
Thank you.
Essentially, we have to start over with each new nuisance. So hopefully we can discourage the property owner from doing that, but likely we'll have to go back if they continue.
Mayor Long, I have a quick comment if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
I would just note in terms of collecting the amount that the council is approving tonight, this amount will go on the property owner's tax bill and will be collected by the county in the normal course of real property taxes. Assuming the amount isn't paid for the next fiscal year, he would go into tax default, and there's a long process that the county goes through before they'll actually foreclose and attempt to sell the property. That's a 3 to 5 year process. So, just for the council's expectation, it's unlikely that we'll get payment on this in any expeditious manner. It could come over time, but it'll remain a lien on the property in perpetuity. And then the other thing I just wanted to add for the recommended motion, if we could just also add that the city manager is authorized to sign and record an assessment lien in the amount approved, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to confirm the costs of nuisance abatement and authorize the city manager to sign an assessment lien associated with the property nuisance abatement at 1319 Ronerville Road in the amount of $18,172.38.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Ryan, did we get the wording right?
Perfect.
Okay, good job, Mike. All right, Tiana?
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Losi,
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Okay, moving on to city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor Long. First, a review of our upcoming meeting dates. Our next council meeting will be on February 1st, and then the second meeting in February will be on February 16th, both at 6 o'clock p.m. The next planning commission will be on January 26th at 6 p.m. And then the next Measure E meeting will be tomorrow, as mentioned earlier, at 5:30 p.m. And again, we're looking for public input on spending priorities at that Measure E meeting. And then our next regular Roner Community Recreation and Park District meeting will be Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021 at 2:30 p.m. A few items to report on in my verbal report today. The first one is CDBG grant funding, particularly for coronavirus relief. I've been proceeding with an effort to pursue CDBG funding being made available to the city to provide relief to businesses and individuals from the COVID-19 pandemic. Currently, the city has approximately $400,000 that has been allocated to assist qualifying businesses and individuals with financial assistance. Additional grant funds will likely become available as time goes on and more state and federal funding becomes available to respond to the pandemic. I proceeded with the recruitment and hiring of a part-time economic development specialist to focus exclusively on pursuing these funds and developing programs and assisting with the administration of the program. This position will be funded, at least initially, from CDBG administrative funds that come from our program income account. We proceeded with a minimal recruitment so that we can respond to pursuing these funds in a timely manner. There's some very short timelines to apply for some of these grants. The next deadline is on February 12th. We're going to try to meet that deadline, but it's tough to say whether we'll be able to pull together the project ideas and have something up by then. But if not, then we'll be going for subsequent programs, subsequent call for projects. As a part of that, we will have to seek input from businesses and the public on how that spends it, and it'll be a very public process. I'll continue to report back to the council with progress on this effort as we proceed, as well as bringing a formal budget request to the council for the filling that position at the next city council meeting. The Chamber of Commerce has asked that I present to them on February 8th. And as the council may know, or if you haven't heard yet, there is no planned state of the city breakfast this year, as gatherings are prohibited due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Chamber of Commerce has asked me to present at the meeting on February 8th. And what I'd like to do is put together an abbreviated version of the state of the city and really just look at some of the big issues facing the city. The tax issue, just a high-flying overview of the budget, some of the city accomplishments, some of the challenges, and just report back to the chamber, and then possibly visit some of the other service organizations with that presentation. So that's something that I'm going to be working on over the next couple of weeks, and I'd be happy to discuss that with any council members if you have questions or ideas or suggestions. Be happy to share that with you. Tourism and marketing, I've become more active and working with the Chamber's Tourism and Marketing Committee. I'm pretty excited at some of the potential for that. There's some great ideas that the Chamber CEO has been putting out, and I really like the direction that the Tourism and Marketing Committee is going. And I think there's a lot of potential to increase the tourism in Fortuna in the absence, especially of a pandemic. But I think we have some good ideas, and we're really going to try to put some more energy into that committee and getting a return on the TOT dollars that the city invests in that. So stay tuned for more, and I look forward to bringing some of the great ideas coming out of that back to you. I also wanted to let the council know that I completed drafting a letter requesting action from our elected officials to introduce legislation to expedite the CRV redemption being available to our citizens. The letter supports a request from local grocers to suspend fines and modify cow recycle requirements for the CRV redemption sites. I also reviewed the letter with Linda Wise of Recology and confirmed their intent to reopen should the measures requested in the letter be made possible by the legislative changes requested. So we'll continue to follow up on that one. I know that's a big one. That's something that council asked me to do at the last meeting. And so I did follow up, and we will, or we'll have all of our council members' signatures on that. And that letter will be going out in the next day. I just want to let the council know that staff has had a pretty significant, put forth a significant effort to make sure that the city is in compliance with the Cal OSHA emergency regulations issued on November 30th of last year. And there's a number of things that are required by that emergency regulations to make the workplace safe. And some of the things that we've been working on include inspections to identify and evaluate the hazards and make sure our work areas comply with the new regulations. There's investigating and responding to any cases for employees who have been exposed, have the disease, or if they've been potentially exposed. We have to provide equipment, testing, and training to our employees. And then we have to assure that corrective measures are being taken to eliminate hazards in the workplace. And it's not just a one-time thing, it's ongoing. And this is something that we're having to do as long as many of our businesses they're having to do that for their workplaces. And I will just say that a lot of this work is being led by Sienna Emmons, our Human Resources Director, City Clerk, with the assistance of our division and department heads. So that's one of the additional things that she's taken on. None of us expected it, but she's doing a good job and really working to make sure these tasks get done, and then documenting them in the event that we have an audit, and really to not only provide a safe workplace, but also to make sure that we minimize the exposure to the city from fines if we did have a violation. So we may, one of the things that's coming up is we're looking at City Hall and how we partition some of the offices so some of our employees don't have to wear masks all day. So that's the current effort. We've gone through most of our spaces, but City Hall, you may see some changes in the near future, and I'll continue to update the council on this as well. One other comment, I'd just like to let the council know that the police operations building at the intersection of Newburgh Road and Roederville Road, we're continuing to work on that. Whitchurch Engineering and DJ Cleek are our consultants. They provided a draft schematic design for us to review. We have comments that we prepared for them, and we will be providing to them so that they can proceed with the schematic design. And again, it's just a remodel of the interior building. It is turning out that for some of the hardened structures like the Armory and others, it makes sense to do some minor expansions to that building, because it doesn't make sense to put, for example, a CMU block wall in the middle of the building. But I'd be happy to go over those. I know that some of our council members have inquired and asked to take a look at what's happening, but I'd be happy to share that with any council members that want to take a look. And as we move forward and complete the schematic design, we can bring that back to council and share that with the public, what we're looking at there. So that is moving forward, and it's our hope to have a building permit in hand by late spring, along with an estimate, so the council can consider how we move forward with funding that project. So that concludes my staff report. I'd be happy to answer questions on any of those items.
Does anyone have any? All right, thank you, Merritt. Future agenda items. Anyone have anything new? Seeing no nodding or anything, we'll move on to city council reports. Mike Johnson.
Well, we have gone from a slow time to entering into January, and things have picked up some. I've had a historical commission meeting, and I have to say that our curator, Alex Service, has done a remarkable job navigating the COVID requirements and opening and closing and opening and closing and maintaining social distancing, keeping track of who's in and how many people, a foot traffic plan so that we don't have conflicts. And during this meeting in January, the future work projects and future of the museum is discussed, and they have some nice ambitious plans, provided that we can open again. When we can open. I know we'll open again, but when is the problem? We don't know yet. So our museum is in good hands, and we have a great historical commission, and I look forward to the next meeting. Also, last week was our first policy committee meeting for the Transportation, Communication, and Public Works. And we had a lot of different things going on. First thing I learned was that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, meaning we need to be engaged and make our presence known, especially with the state legislature. Some of the things that are going on, the policy committee itself actually set an agenda of the top 4 items that would like to be engaged with. And remarkably enough, the first one is to maintain the safety of our SB1 dollars. There's been 2 committee chairs in the legislature that changed, and 2 new appointments to the CTC, and are guaranteed to receive money from SB1 dollars is not as sure as it was last year, and it wasn't that sure then. So the league is going to be engaged in watching out for that. And one of the things that's looming on the horizon, I've actually talked to Merritt about that. He's actually talked to me, and we've had conversation about, is the implementation of SB 1383, and the Environmental Quality Policy Committee is actually engaging with the league and then with the legislature on plans to help implement that, because it won't be an easy thing to do. But the 4 items that are on the agenda for really engaging with is the SB1 dollars, the digital divide, broadband items, the infrastructure resiliency, which was closely tied in with stormwater infrastructure, and last but not least is the small cell / 5G. These are all things that are going to be a priority this year. And then also this week, I have a HCOG meeting on Thursday, and pull up the agenda for that. But it's, we're going to be looking at, one thing is election of officers this year for a new chair, vice chair, executive committee, and a CalCog representative, and receiving a report on the last chance grade and the safety corridor, and application for the REAP grant for housing planning and implementation. HCOG is now also involved in that by its charter. And that's all I have to report now. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Mike Losey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's going to be a couple of busy weeks coming up for me. This Thursday, I have my first meeting with the Redwood Coast Energy Authority. That's in the afternoon. And at some point, I will be meeting with the Executive Director, Matthew Marshall, for orientation and bringing me up to speed with some of the issues that the Energy Authority will be dealing with in the future. And I've got new council training starting also on Thursday. That'll be 2 days this week, Thursday, Friday, and then 2 days next week, also Thursday, Friday. So those are pretty much all day events too. I'm looking forward to finding out some of the new laws that are affecting city councils and cities, and just finding out some updates from when I was on the last time. Got right now.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Jeremy.
Well, I appreciate Diana. She reported on FBID. We met today I have the agenda up here, so I'm going to scroll back to it real quick and see if there's anything else to update. And I invite her to chime in if she can think of anything I need to highlight. Just again, want to say thank you for her efforts and her staff's efforts regarding supporting our local communities. The numbers I have here add up to actually 29 stores that they supported in applications processing for small business grants. And like she said, there's another round coming up in mid-February. So we'll keep you posted on that with our next time we meet. Also wanted to just touch base and let you know that Mark Seitz had to submit his resignation as an FBID board member because you were nice enough to appoint him as the planning commissioner. So now we have another vacancy there. So if anybody's interested in the business community that would like to jump on board with FBID, we are open to, we have an open seat that we'd love some enthusiastic participation in. We do have two new board members, Ashley and Yasmin, that are both very enthusiastic contributors, and they're jumping in with both feet, and a great shot in the arm of energy coming from those two people. So we're glad to have them. So if there's anybody that needs or has the desire to get involved, FBID has an open seat that's a city appointment. Beyond that, Diana reported that the collaboration of local communities talking about Dine Out Humboldt, Choose Humboldt, and specifically Shop Fortuna, I'll pat her on the back again and say we're crushing it as far as the local participation, better than our sister cities nearby. So I'm glad to say whatever she's doing it well, and we can commend her and her staff for that. Last thing is we are going to ask for a small bylaw amendment, allowing an alternate position to this FBID board, because there for a while, a year ago especially, well, a couple of years back, and not as much recently, but in order to avoid it moving forward, we were struggling to get a quorum at times. And so an alternate position would help us maintain consistent meetings and getting the business of the bid done in a timely fashion. So we're going to ask that the council accept the recommendation to extend our board positions by an alternate seat. Again, if Diana has anything else to bring up that I missed, I'd be happy to let her interject on my time. Other than that, Parks and Rec meets on February 8th, so I will bring back new information at that time.
Thank you, Jeremy. Tammy.
I'm sorry, is there anything else, Diana? Did I get it all? We're good. Okay.
Giving you a thumbs up.
Good thumbs up. All right, and then I will be attending the next town hall meeting with our Senator Mike McGuire. It's next Tuesday, the 26th at 6:30, and it's a second invitation by him to talk to the community about the response to COVID-19 at the state level. So that's it. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. Tammy.
Thank you. I attended our first meeting of the year for the League of California Cities Public Safety Committee. We listened to a presentation from Assembly Member Mike Gibson, who is the chair of a newly formed Assembly Select Committee for Police Reform. This committee is tasked with developing meaningful changes to policing and enhancing public safety. There have already been several new police reform bills introduced. The next meeting is April 15th, where we should have the opportunity to review these new bills. Being the first meeting of the year, we went over procedures and the rules and new introductions to everybody. Looks like we have a nice full committee this year, and hopefully we'll be able to help with these new bills, make modifications to them, recommend or deny. And then on Monday, I'll be meeting with Chief Day. We're going to start working on the application for Measure Z funds to renew our school resource officer and our drug task force officer. And we'll be attending the meetings with the advisory committee all through March. So I'm looking forward to getting those renewed. So if you know, happen to see any of the supervisors, put in a good word for these officers and let them know what a good job they're doing. We really need these positions renewed. And that's it for my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy. So yeah, quiet December turned into crazy January. Last week, I did a leadership Zoom talk with the student body leadership at the high school, and I always love being invited to the high school. It's just a little different on Zoom versus being there in person, but they were pretty interactive just because they are, you know, the actual leadership group. So that was really fun. A little early in the morning for me though, you know, I don't like that 7 o'clock stuff, but, and then I inadvertently got appointed to 2 of the League of California Cities committees because I missed out on my one that I really have the passion for, the Housing Community and Economic Development Committee. Couldn't make the meetings one year, so someone else in Eureka took my spot, and I really wanted that one. So Sarah said, try for a presidential appointment. I said, you just never know. There's lots of applications, but hey, go for it. So I ended up getting the presidential appointment to that one, but I got the Redwood Empire appointment to the, these are long, the California Cities Governance, Transparency, and Labor Relations Commission. So I had 2 meetings last week, and man, the first one, the housing one, is just all over the place. And I don't know if there's a lot of new people on the committee or people just don't get the overreach of government, because they just didn't seem to have a problem that the government wants to mandate all of these things in your city and tell you what to do. And we had 3 bills to go over, and we only got through 1. We barely came to a consensus on what to do with that one. And it relates to their state wants to mandate that a housing project can go into any zoning in your city that is defined as a lot zone for office or retail commercial that is not adjacent to an industrial use. So basically, it doesn't really matter what you zone your city. The government can mandate that you allow housing there. And, you know, cities have done their general plans, and they've thoughtfully zoned their cities accordingly and according to what works for their city and their area. And the state just wants to come in and tell you that you have to allow housing of these types in any zoning. And I just don't think people get it, that's why you have your general plan. That's why you have your people and your land use and all of your things. And it was painful. But anyway, that one went all the way to the end, the 3 hours of Zoom. And then the next day was the governance, transparency, and labor relations. And that one mainly focused on CalPERS and pensions and that kind of thing. It was a little shorter, so that was good. But all these bills that these senators sit around and think up, man, they're not good for us, I tell you. I don't know what world they live in, but it's not ours. So that was last week. This week, tomorrow I have a LAFCO meeting because apparently we couldn't get our act together and get a mayor select meeting in time to appoint someone to LAFCO. We've only known since November that this position was needed to be taken care of. But anyway, Mike has submitted his letter. We have a meeting on the 28th to select someone. I'm really hoping that it will be Mike. And if it is, then I will resign as the alternate, and we'll be picking an actual member and an alternate. So I have LAFCO tomorrow because of that. Oversight committee for our successor agency, our redevelopment staff, and then coffee with the chief on Thursday, a redeck on Thursday, and the Humboldt, the HSU President's Community Advisory meeting next week. So there's a lot going on. So much for quiet December. We're making up for it in January. I don't think I forgot anything. So with that, I think we can entertain a motion to adjourn. Is that where we are? And Tammy's back.
I'm back. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thanks, you guys. See you next time.
Good night, all.
Thanks, Tiana.
Aye.